Okay, I actually want the Wolfram Alpha to ask them to draw an isosceles triangle with the angles 36, 72, 72. And it says it draws it isosceles with those angles. And I see the picture over here. And what I did was I sort of labeled the sides, all right? Now the sides that I'm labeling, the first thing I want to point out, I'm labeling this side to be 1. Let me get this, go backwards a little bit. I said this is 1. So that means this side over here is also going to be 1 unit in length. And I kind of divided it into 2 parts. And the parts I divided it into were 1 minus x and x. And the reason I did that is I constructed another 36, 72, 72 isosceles by splitting this guy here in half. And I would get that 36, 72, 72. And they're similar, all right? So kind of looking at that, just looking at the picture, I got a bunch of isosceles triangles over here. So if this is 1 minus x, this would be minus x. And why is that? They're opposite the 36 of that isosceles, all right? And then this would be x, all right, because 1 minus x plus x is 1. It's got to be that length. And what's over here? Well, it's isosceles. The sides opposite 72 degrees are also 1 minus x. It's kind of important. Then what I did was I was looking around for the 18 now, and I kind of drew a line like this over here, just like we did with the another case where we had equilateral triangle. And I'm going to say I could probably write down the sine of half of 36, which would be 18 degrees. And what's that going to be? It's the opposite, which would be 1 minus x over 2. It's half that side. And this side, again, is 1 minus x. Half that side is 1 minus x over 2. Over the hypotenuse, which would be 1. All right? And then I'll look at another one. I'll look at this one here. And I can take the sine of that 18-degree angle as well. And again, I'm looking at right triangles. And what would that be? Well, that would be x over 2. It's the opposite of the 18. Again, I'm looking at this side over here now. Over the hypotenuse, which would be 1 minus x. Now, what do I know about those two ratios? They have to be equal. So I got 1 minus x over 2 has got to be the same thing as x over 2, 1 minus x. I got an equation to solve. I want to point before I do that, though, x has to be a positive number. So let's do this. It's 1 minus x quantity squared equals x. I'm going to multiply that out. What are you going to get? Let's see, 1 minus 2x plus x squared equals x. And keep moving forward, and you're going to get x squared minus 3x plus 1 equals 0. And then what do you get? Quadratic formula. X will equal, gotta be careful here, 2, 3 plus or minus. And what do you get on the inside? You're going to get 9 minus 4ac, which is 4. So you get x equals, let's see, 3 plus or minus the root of 5 over 2. Remember, x has to be positive. So now I know what x is. X is 3. Let's see. I guess I got 2 numbers here, don't I? I got 3 plus root 5. And 3 minus root 5. Did I do that right? Let's take a look over here. I gotta think for a second, don't I? Okay, I'm gonna think. And the reason I need to think is I know they're both positive numbers, by the way. But now I gotta start thinking about, what x could be. And the x also has to be, because I'm looking at this over here, right? The x also has to be smaller than 1, all right? So I have to pick a number there. I can't pick this one because that's bigger than 1. Whoops, sorry about that. Again, it's good to think. That's bigger than 1, so this can't be selected. And if it's bigger than 1, that would be negative. So I got to select x to be 3 minus the root of 5 over 2. All right? That's what I have to select. So someone says, what are you doing with that? Well, we're trying to figure out the sine of 18 degrees. All right? I'm kind of looking at it, and I think I can write that down now. And I think this is perhaps the easiest one to do right here. Let's write this down. The sine of 18 degrees is going to be, let's put this down, 2, and then it's going to be 1 minus that x number. So 1 minus 3 minus root 5 over 2. And let's go through that computation now. I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 2. And what are you going to get there? Well, let's be careful. That's going to be 4. And you can get 2 minus, I'm multiplying by 2, by the way, minus 3. And then it'll be plus root 5. And what does this give me? Root 5 minus 1 over 4. All right, that's a sine of 18 degrees. So now I'm prepared to write down the answers now. All right, so I'm prepared to write down the sine of 18 degrees. And what's that going to be? That is going to be root 5 minus 1 over 4. I am prepared to write down the cosine. Well, 18 from a 90 would be 72 degrees. And what's that going to be? Root 5 minus 1 over 4. I think I'm also prepared to write down the sine of 72 degrees. And the cosine of 70. Oh, I already did cosine. What am I saying? Get that eraser out. And the cosine of 18 degrees. I'm sorry about that. How am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to square it, and I'll square the 18 degrees. So it's going to be, let me just remind you, the cosine squared theta plus sine squared theta is equal to 1. And I think we can generate the other angles now, all right? The other values, I mean. So let's square the 18 degrees, sine of 18 degrees. What are you going to get there? 16 in the bottom. And what do you get on top? You get 5 plus 1, which is 6, minus 2 root 5s. All right, what does this give us? Let's just simplify a little tiny bit. We'll divide through by 2. You get 3 minus root 5 over 8. And we need to subtract that from 1. All right? So let's write that down. And you're going to get 1 minus that number. And what do you get there? You would get 2 minus 3. Put this over here. You're going to get 2 minus 3, which is minus 1. And then you can get root 5. And that's all over. You know what? I made a mistake already. Sorry about that. That is not a 2. My mistake. It was just working out kind of crazy, right? It's actually 8. And what do we get there? We get an 8 in the bottom. And then you get 8 minus 3, which is 5, minus root 5, plus root 5, I'm sorry. And we can take the square root of that number. And what's that going to be? What are we doing? A cosine, right? That's going to be the root of 5 plus root 5 over the root of 8, which is going to be 2 root 2s. And that was a cosine of 18. And then this guy's going to be the same number. Root 5 plus, 5 plus root 5 over 2 root 2. And we're done. Thank you.